Welcome to Homestead Reptile. This is an episode of Morph History, the Phantom. Phantoms are one of my favorites, and we have coming up here a lovely Phantom buckskin. So the Phantom trait is a wild type trait. It's a recessive trait. So this is just your ordinary Phantom buckskin. So Phantoms are, there's three categories we have here. We have the Phantom, the patternless, and the bicolor. They're all the same trait. So it's recessive, phantom, bicolor, and patternless are the same. So this guy is a patternless phantom. So the phantom trait suppresses pattern. It also increases melanin. So this animal is probably something you would have seen in the wilds of their natural habitat, that mix of yellow and dark coloration, a buckskinny kind of color. So the phantom trait increases melanin. And in that increase of melanin, people were able to selectively breed from something that probably looked like that, from animals to be more of a hypo color and animals to be an even darker color. So you have different shades of dark phantoms. So you have your olives, your buckskins, your milk chocolate, pitch black to dark chocolate. So you have that range of color. You also have in phantoms yellows, reds, and shades in between. So it's a spectrum of different colors you can get from phantoms. And phantoms are just one of my favorites, just for that color range you can get in that, and that simple bright color you can have in a lot of phantoms. The phantom gene itself is healthy. It's a wild type trait. I've never heard of any health problems coming from phantoms. The only thing I can say is most phantoms have undesirable heads and have undesirable dorsals and necks. That is super common. Not all the time, but that is a problem. But besides that, I don't see any other health problems that come out of these guys. So this girl is my charcoal phantom. She would be, I would categorize her as a dark chocolate. She's misfiring right now, unfortunately. But you can see that difference from that buckskin to this girl. Most dark phantoms, you'll see that two-tone head color, where the head is a slightly different color from the body. It's super common in dark phantoms. But that increase in melanin, that reduction in pattern. So most of the time, that pattern that's being reduced, what I see the most common are tigers, flames, and harlequin. So I believe she's suppressing a tiger gene. So you can see here how dark she is. You can see her baby pics. So it takes them quite some time to really darken up. It takes them at least 15 grams to really change that color. So I was talking to you guys that it increases melanin, but you can have the opposite of that in the decrease in melanin. So you can have hypermelanistic and hypomelanistic phantoms. Hypomelanistic comes in your yellower buckskins, your yellows, and some reds. So you can have hypo reds. You can have all yellows are hypo. Even if they're dirty yellows, they're still a hypo. It's just the quality of hypoism. So this guy right here is a hypo red. You can see he has a reduction in dark pigment. He's a really bright red. In full sunlight, he almost like has this weird red-orange glow to him. It's really difficult to get really good pictures of him because they always come out blurry because he's just too bright. But this guy is a hypo, so you can have the opposite of that, of the dark phantom. You can have hypos. And that's just stacking the genes and stacking red on red on red and yellow on yellow on yellow. Surprisingly, red and darks make good combinations. Reds and yellows make decent combinations as well. You'll end up getting a percentage of lavenders because you have to have a dark and a red to make lavenders, or a dark and a yellow to make lavenders. It's a combination morph. And again, here is just a little lovely little red phantom. But you can see that they come in some different shades. So you can go from pitch black to bright. And any yellow phantom you see is a hypo. Even if it's a dirty yellow, it's still hypo. It's just not a very dominant hypo. that needs to be cleaned up more. The hypo gene in phantoms, and hypo in general, and all crested geckos, is actually a wild type trait, and it's also dominant. I'll talk a little bit more about that in another episode, but it's interesting that it is a dominant trait when most reptile morphs, hypoism is recessive, but it's just dominant in crested geckos for whatever reason, and it's a wild type trait. But again, dark phantoms and red phantoms just take quite some time to really get that good coloration. So most people, most breeders will be holding them back for quite some time to show off their glory.